Hi guys, how's it going? You're very welcome back to Autism and Me. If you're new to the channel, you are very welcome. Before I start today's video, I would like to thank everyone for your continued support so far, from liking the videos, sharing the videos, and commenting on the videos. Thank you so much guys for your continued support. It really does mean the world, so thank you guys so much. So on today's video, I am going to be talking about anxiety. Now, as we all know, anxiety is a feeling of unease, and it can cause us to be incredibly stressed, and it could be over the simplest things, like a slight change in routine, um, like what am I going to do for dinner today, simple things like that can affect us, and or maybe moving house or doing an exam coming up. Things like that can be incredibly anxious for us, like stressful. So, but for someone on the spectrum, it can be a big thing, and many people on the spectrum, whether it be children, whether it be adults, will experience anxiety, and it can affect someone both psychologically and physically as well. And the constant anxiety for someone on the spectrum can be very disturbing, very tough. It can just be not a pleasant experience at all, and things like depression actually can link to constant anxiety, because you're constantly worried, constantly worried, etc. And there's different things that can trigger anxiety as well, like something like difficulty in social interactions and noise environments. But I think it also is important to note too that anxiety can hit everyone. It can be a bit more distressing, for someone on the spectrum, but like anxiety is something that hits everyone. It can hit everyone at some point in life, and we'd only be there'd be something wrong if something didn't affect us. That's the thing, because life's always changing. Life, things are always changing, things are always coming up. So it's only normal, I think, that that we suffer anxiety, but I think we need to look at things like depression, etc. as well. Something like that. We need to look out for those signs too, because that's, I think, one thing we could take away from this. Like, depression can actually can also link into constant anxiety. And I think we should really look out for people that way. But yeah, but I think also as well, for someone on the spectrum, um, that you can find it difficult to control worries, and daily life can be affected if you're feeling constantly anxious. Sorry, excuse me. If you're feeling constantly anxious, then it can affect you, like things that don't cause you stress or you wouldn't have difficulty with in your everyday life, that don't affect you normally. Like, if you're having constant anxiety, it could affect you, and it could be over the simple things, really. you know. And signs that someone could be suffering from anxiety, signs could be like panic attacks, not having difficulty sleeping, and having negative thoughts. Another example of how an autistic person can suffer from anxiety is adapting. Like adapting to something new, something different. Because it's the unknown, really. I think that's the thing. You've never had this before, and I know what that's like too. Like I sometimes get nervous trying new things, and that's just part of the course. And the thing is important to know that even though it's the simplest thing, that it is a worry for that person as well. It is still a worry, even though it might seem small. It's still a worry because I haven't experienced that thing, adapting to something new, because I haven't had that experience before, and they have difficulty in communication as well as social interaction as well. Another thing that can um, affect someone going to have anxiety is fitting in, wanting to be normal. I know that's a thing with some people on the spectrum, that sometimes they want to be normal and don't want to be seen as different, and that's one thing that's kind of be hard. That's one thing I know I struggled with growing up, like being made feel different, and you want to just be seen as you want to be seen as equal to everyone else. You don't want to be seen as an outsider. You don't want to be seen as someone different. You want to be seen as, one of the boys say. You just want to be seen as equal. You don't want to be excluded from anything. And uncertainty as well, change, and then how you come across to people, how you're doing well, how are you performing in school, for example. Like, are you getting the same grades as your friends? Are you doing well in your sports team? Are you doing well in certain classes? Are you doing well in activities away from school, for example, like drama, for example? How are you doing in that sector, for example? So I'm just going to talk about a few things here, things I suffer from anxiety. And one thing I really do want to touch on is, like, social interaction. Like, to most people, I would be seen as like a fairly outgoing person. Like, you wouldn't think I'd have fear, but like, I have had fear of in social interactions. Like, like, I still have that worry of, like, at times, like, what do people think of me? Like, what's that person going to think of me? What's that person going to think of me? What that person's going to think of me? And I think that's kind of normal, but like, it also needs to know can link back. This can link to. So when I was in school, like, also with like, this one thing that links to change, I got change. It links to change because, like, when you're, say, talking with someone and you're regularly talking with them, and then all of a sudden you're not talking to them regularly, that could be a bit of a distressing, because you're kind of thinking to yourself, like, why is that changing? That doesn't need to change. Why are we not talking, say, if we always did? Like, what changed? Why did it need to change? Like, I know that kind of, like, hit me hard in growing up at times. Like, maybe basically, like, not maybe having that constant communication that I was always having with people, and it did knock my confidence, and did make me feel anxious now. And I think as well, was I touched on in an earlier episode of Autism and Me, that when you're bullied as well, like, it does take a lot out of you, and it does take a long time to reinstill that confidence that you lost because you were bullied. And that's I don't think people maybe sometimes maybe can miss too, but like, yeah, like, cause I was at school, like, as I said before, like, it did knock my confidence, and like, I know I definitely didn't maybe have as much confidence in social interactions as I used to have with people. And I know even in later times, like, there are times when I, like, would question, like, why is that being said, or why is that changing, etc. So, like, that is one thing that maybe I think it's good to be talked about, and I think I'm glad I'm talking about this as well. But like, even things when I don't sometimes hear from people, you kind of wonder yourself, like, and especially if they've got on, you've really had a good meetup, or you feel you've had a good meetup, it could be, your anxiety can go. My anxiety sometimes can go through the roof. So I'm thinking to myself, why am I not hearing from this person? Did they actually enjoy talking with me? Did they enjoy meeting up with me, or was it all just me? Like, it was me, basically doing all the effort. You know what I mean? And that can, like, be a tough thing as well, for people on the spectrum, because, like, they might have sometimes it's tough when you feel you get your hopes up, and then you don't, it all just kind of comes, feel like tumbling down. That can be quite difficult. But yeah, I'm going to give another story here. For example, when I was talking about exams coming up, like, I remember my theory test exam, like, that caused me anxiousness, because although I was doing well in the practice runs, like, I was doing what we call mock tests over here in Ireland, like, basically practice tests. I was doing really well, but you're still nervous, because, like, how many times have you done something in a practice and you think, oh, you're fine, it's 100%, all be good, and then you get to it, and then you're you can fail miserably. I know that from hurling as well. Like, you think, oh, everything's going great in training. We're not going to lose this game. It's going to be fantastic. And you get to the match and you're just beaten off the park. Like, that's the thing. So you're still going to be anxious because you want things to go well. And I was anxious that day. Like, I remember even after I'd done the test, like I was literally waiting. I remember waiting for my result. Um I was really anxious because it was like because they were taking, I'm sure it's a normal process, but when you're waiting there a long time for your result, you're kind of wondering, like, have I, like, yeah, because I even in my head I was like I just want to know if I've passed this thing, because you want to see, like, for example, has all your practice paid off? Like, do you know as much as the practice score said? Because you don't actually know how good you are in this in the subject until you actually do it. So yeah, that definitely caused my anxiety. Having that exam coming up, and but even just things as well. Like, another example is just like doing things you haven't done in a long time. Like, as well, like, just going, like, on public transport. That's something that can be scary for a lot of people on the spectrum too, because they might be worried about how, if there's someone rude, say, on the train or bus, like, how the conductor or person might be. I remember I got on a bus there a few weeks ago, and I think the bus was actually late. The bus was late, and I remember getting on the bus, and the bus driver was like, "All right, where you going?" I was like, I hadn't been on the bus in so long. And it kind of like threw me off. It was like, it made you feel like worried. That's the thing. It would make you feel scared. But yeah, but it's important that, like, it's good to have. You need to have those experiences too, like, because not everything's going to be um perfect. But yeah, tips that I would give people to help them deal with anxiety. For people on the spectrum, people not on the spectrum, like people who are friends, people on the spectrum, I would say one thing I would say is talk to each other. Let them know what you're feeling. Let them know if you're feeling anxious, and no matter if it's the smallest thing, like, what's making you anxious is making you anxious, and it could be over the smallest thing. Like, even if it's like, we're going to a restaurant and you don't know what to eat, just talk about it. Just say, I don't know what to eat here, like, because that could be a big thing. Like, simplest things, you'd be surprised. Talk about it. Yeah, come up with strategies to help you cope. If you're feeling anxious as well. Try and get into a routine. Like, if you're moving, say, with the change thing, like, try and maybe, if you can, do things that you normally do at home in that place you're going to. Like, for example, you can use your apps like Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter. Like, just go, if you usually go on those apps when you're at home, go on them in your new place. Keep that routine going. Keep doing it. But one thing I used to do, actually, when I was feeling anxious or upset, I used to just type out how I was feeling. But I was looking in the sense I would know what was making me feel upset, so I'd always just type out how I was feeling, and I think that really did make a difference to me. So yeah, that's it for today's video. If always available if people would like to talk more. Thank you very much for watching. I shall see you all very soon. Have a good day, everyone. Goodbye.